Hey friends! Maybe some of you have been around on my channel long enough to remember last year's video where I had a whole list of goals that I was going to try and accomplish in 2017. And I have been looking forward to doing this video almost all year, but mainly from the second half of the year. Let's go through the list of the goals that I have here, and then I'll tell you how we did on each one. The first one was to pay off another 11% of our mortgage. So we set this goal very high. I knew that this was going to be a difficult goal to accomplish, but we were going to try and do it anyway. And so we started out with 20%. We bought our house last year in November, and the first mortgage payment wasn't due until January 1st. So January 1st we made our first mortgage payment, and I knew that pretty much all year we had the opportunity to see how much we were going to be able to get done, because it was not only a calendar year, but it was also our first year in it. So we bought our house and we put down 20%. So we started with 20% that we owned, and I wanted to pay off another 11%, so we would own a total of 31%. Well, I just got my mortgage statement in the mail, and it says that we own 32.198, so 32.2% of our mortgage, or our house's value, we own. Yes! I'm super excited because not only did we make our goal, but it looks like we exceeded it a little, which I'm not entirely sure how, but hey, that's cool. So we were supposed to, if we were to make only our normal mortgage payments, we were only supposed to pay just a little over 4%. And so the fact that we paid 7.86% more than we were supposed to pay is really exciting to me. We still have 14 years left according to the mortgage, because we originally started with a 15-year mortgage, but with how much extra we were able to pay this year, we really only have another 12 years and 3 months, and that's only if we paid the regular mortgage payment. If we made the extra payments like we were throughout the year this year, and then didn't pay any extra, just the normal mortgage payments from here on, that's how long we would have to owe, until we reach the maturity for our house, which I don't think that's good enough. We're digging deep, and we're going to really try and do as best as we possibly can. So the problem with this number is that it's not really sustainable. When we put together our budget, we decided to cut a lot of expenses, or setting aside money for a lot of things that I know we're going to have to eventually have. We haven't really been setting aside money for doctor bills or dentist bills or other things like that. And I know that those things are going to eventually come up. And so the amount that we're putting toward our mortgage right now, again, it's not sustainable. And so while I wish we could, we paid off, a little over 12% of, the house's value in 12 months, which means we're paying it off at a rate of about 1% a month, which is fabulous. At that rate, it would take us another 5 years and 5 months, and we would be debt-free from this house. So a total of 6.5 years of paying for this house before we would have it paid off. Again, that's fabulous, but it's just not sustainable. So we're going to have to rework the budget and refigure out some different things because, again, we just don't have enough money going toward things that I know are going to eventually come up. So I just wanted to let you know really quickly that a lot of the stuff that I talk about on the channel really does work. So maybe some of you are thinking, well, does this really work? Does paying extra really make a difference? I hope that you see that it does, especially when it comes to the mortgages, which is probably one of my favorite topics to talk about, paying off mortgages. And so having a frugal lifestyle really does make a difference. We went out to eat exactly 3 times this year. So cutting back on expenses, not going out for coffee and all these different things, packing our food, packing lunches, cooking from scratch, finding ways to do repairs and different things ourselves. I could go on and on. My whole channel is about saving money on all sorts of different things. But it really does work, because when we've cut all of those different expenses and we've instead used that money toward buying down our debt, this is how big of an impact it's made. And we do live in a very expensive area, and so paying 1% of our house's value a month is like monumental huge. Okay, so the 2 strategies we used to pay extra toward our mortgage throughout the year was we made we added extra with our payments. So instead of just paying a regular payment, we paid extra and then paid an extra big payment. And then the other thing we did is we made principal curtailments. That is when you have extra money throughout the month that you make and go toward the mortgage. So you can pay online a lot of times, you can make a phone call, you could send out a check, however it is that you normally pay your mortgage, you can pay extra that same way just throughout the month. You just tell them, I want this money to go toward principal. So if you have an extra $30, $40, $200, $500 and you want to send that to your mortgage, you can. You don't only have to hold on to that money and wait until the mortgage payment is due and then add it then. Those are the two strategies we used, and they clearly worked very well. So let's go over some of the other goals really quickly. We had the goal of building up our homestead. I really like gardening and doing different things, growing food, being more, just independent in general. And so building up our new house to be more of a homestead was really important to me because it was hard to move away from established fruit trees, mature fruit trees, an established garden, those sorts of things. It was really hard to move away from that. And I wanted to bring that sort of thing to our new house. So I had the goal of planting fruit trees. I had in mind that I wanted to plant about 6 or 7, and we actually ended up planting 13. So we smashed that goal, yay. And the only reason we had enough room to plant that many trees was because some of them were dwarf trees. If you want more, I will go ahead and link a card up there for you about the different fruit trees that we planted. And I even added a couple since I did that video. We wanted to plant some berry bushes. Berries are super healthy, and so I wanted to plant about 6 to 8, somewhere in there. We actually ended up planting 22 because we ended up taking over the rock area over in the front, and that wasn't originally part of the plan. And the area I was going to put it in, I was going to put just 1 row, and we ended up doing 2 rows of berry bushes, so yay, smashed that goal as well. Plant some grapevines. I didn't have a number on these, but we did end up planting 3, and all 3 lived and are doing very well. We had the goal to build and install garden beds. We did that. We put in some nice new composite garden beds and a U-shaped garden and a couple in the front yard. So got a lot of garden space in, and I'm super excited that we won't have to do that again because that was crazy. That was so much work. But I feel accomplished for having gotten that one done. Fencing and housing for the animals, we got that. We built a shed. My 11-year-old daughter and I built it by ourselves. So if you want to check out that video, we used a kit and it made it way easier. And so someone like me could actually make that happen. So yes, if you want to check that out, we did build a nice little barn for our goats and some chickens, and it worked out really well. Got some fencing up for them. Yay, got that done. Park-like backyard. I wanted our backyard to be a fun place for our kids to hang out, and when we had company over, to have lots of fun stuff to do. And so the things that we added over the year was a hammock, a trampoline, which I got my kids for holiday season last year, but we just got put together this spring, of course. A rope, climbing rope thing for them to play on. A slack line, which we put in again last year, but it was a holiday gift, so I'm counting it in this year too. Small swing, a large swing, which I actually just got them for the holidays this year. Maybe you saw my video on the things that I got them for the holidays. And my kids actually helped buy a zip line. I paid for a portion of the zip line, and then they paid for the rest of it, and that was a lot of fun. It can support 250 pounds, and so my husband and I are even having fun getting to use it. My dog even likes to play with it. Not zip lining, but play with the bottom part, like pulling on the swing and stuff like that. But yeah, super popular with all the kids who have come over to visit. So definitely nice park-like backyard. Lots and lots of fun stuff for the kids to do. We had the goal of entertaining, which we did several times. We had friends over several times. We had a big group of people, like several different families all at once. We even threw an impromptu Thanksgiving dinner at our house, which was a long story by itself, and I don't want to add to this video, but yes, they called me and they were like, hey, can we come over? We have nowhere to go. And we didn't have a Thanksgiving dinner planned. We were just going to have a small one at home, and so we threw together some food and had a nice little party on Thanksgiving, which again wasn't expected. So yes, we entertained this year. I had a lot of home improvement projects I wanted to do. We wanted to add insulation to our house because we knew it wasn't adequate. We did that. Very expensive, but we did that. We wanted to put in a wood stove, and I would say that we are half good with this goal. We did find a wood stove to buy on Craigslist. It's brand new, but it was for sale on Craigslist, but we haven't had it installed yet, so that's a half done on that one. We bought it, but it's not installed yet. But it's not the end of the year yet, so I don't know. There's still time, but no, it's getting recycled into next year's goal list. Weatherproofing, and I actually forgot that this was a goal I had. I was going to start weatherproofing, and then we started building our greenhouse, and so all of my attention went to that instead. And so again, this is another one that's going to get recycled into next year because it really does need done. There's some caulk and stuff that's like gapping around the windows, and so I need to get this done. Definitely need to get this weatherproofing done. Build a greenhouse, that wasn't officially on the list. I really wanted to get it done this year, but I didn't think that would be achievable. However, we started and we've been building it, and I'm doing a greenhouse series on how it is that we're building it, and it's a nice, very nice greenhouse that's going to need very little heating, if any, and so I'm really excited about that, super excited about that. Refinish the cabinets. When we moved in our house, we had 2 sets of cabinets that were just plain oak that were never finished. They never stained, painted, polyurethane. They never did anything. And oak turns black when it gets wet, and I knew that they would get eventually ruined if we didn't finish them some way. And so I had the goal of finishing them, and we did. We managed to stain and polyurethane both sets of cabinets, the ones in the apartment upstairs and the ones in our laundry room. So yay for that. And then fix some paint. When we moved in the house, the paint was all messed up all over the place, especially the ceiling. And so I had a goal of trying to get that done this summer, but that didn't happen with all the other homesteading stuff that we were doing. It just didn't happen. So recycle for next year. Homeschool. I had a goal where I wanted to catch up my daughter. She had gotten behind when we moved. So I really wanted to get her caught up because I don't like it when she gets behind on homeschool. We did do that. We did end up catching up. It did take us the first couple weeks into the summer before she was caught up, so she did have to homeschool a little longer than the public school kids, but hey, at least it got done. And then find a new curriculum for my younger daughter. We had run out of the curriculum that we had started. It was a younger kid curriculum, and it didn't go into the upper grades, and so I was really stressed out about what we were going to do starting this next year and then for the rest of the time. And now we have all that figured out. We found a good curriculum that we're going to use that's actually free. We get it through a homeschool program that we're enrolled in that's sponsored through the district. And so yay for that. It's been working out really well for her. And if we stick with it, she's even going to be able to go to college for 2 years, her junior and senior year later. And that's all going to be free for us. It's going to be essentially included in our taxes, which isn't free because we still pay taxes. But yes, it's going to be included in what we pay to the district. Yay. I had the goal of doing 2 videos a week. I don't know whether to say I did this or not, because there were weeks when I did 2 or 3 or 4 videos a week, and then there were weeks when I only did 1. So maybe in the end it averaged out to be 2, but no, it wasn't quite 2 every week. But I have been better than I was before. And then the very last one I saved for last so that it can kind of transition into the last thing I wanted to talk about in this video. And it's that we wanted to pay for a car with cash. When we started last year, we did not have enough money to pay for a car in cash. However, we knew that we were both driving older cars. His is a 93, mine was a 96. Mine had about 200,000 miles on it, his has about 150, and we were worried that my car was eventually going to poop out and that we were going to need to buy a new car. So we wanted to try and save the cash so that when we needed to replace my car, it wouldn't need to be something that we financed. And we did that goal. We did it by the skin of our teeth, but we managed to do it. However, transitions into one of the mistakes that we made over the last year. The first thing is that we need to budget more for home repairs. Usually, financial experts say that you should budget about 3% of your home's value for home repairs. However, if you do some of the work yourself, or if you live in a house that maybe doesn't need as much work, you can get by with as little as 1% and still maintain your house. If you spend less than that, it's likely that things are falling into disrepair and you're going to lose your home's value if you're not keeping up on things a little bit better. So we do have to budget money for maintaining our home, and I was, budgeting 1%. However, that was not near enough with this new house. There was a lot of things that came up, a lot of things that we had to fix and do, and his refrigerator broke, and then the wiring we had to replace, and so we ripped open the ceiling to replace some of the wiring, and yada yada. There were our furnace last year went out. We actually bought the house with it broken, and the sellers didn't mention that, and so we had to get some major repairs there, getting some new flue pipe installed. So we have found that we need to budget more like 2% of this house's value in order to be adequately covered. And that's probably because we were assuming 1% of the house's value would be fine, but that's with one family. And so this house is much larger than our last house, and it's a two-family sort of thing. It's still a single-family house, but because there's a unit upstairs, there's 2 refrigerators, there's 2 stoves, there's 2 microwaves, there's 2 kitchens, there's 2 more of everything. So we need to budget a higher amount to make sure that we're having all of those expenses covered. Okay guys, so that is it for this video. Our goal updates. I would love to hear how you did this year. Did you set some goals? Were you able to achieve a lot of them? I really hope that you were. So I hope to see you next time. I'm Frugal Green Girl, and we'll see you